so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. After years of exploring this awe-inspiring truth on this podcast, I am super excited to announce that we are now going even deeper down the rabbit hole on the new late-night style consciousness-elevating talk show called Optimistic, which features epic soul share interviews from the world's brightest luminaries, live painting from mind-blowing visionary artists, high-vibe musical performances, and last but not least, none other than you, the listeners. The show is being filmed out of the epic spaceship-esque property called the Mystic Manor that myself and the rest of the Optimistic crew now navigate reality from in the transformational vortex of Venice Beach, California. And there are multiple exciting ways you can co-create Optimistic along with us. Everything from coming to experience a life-changing, transformational Mystic Manor immersion week with me and the rest of the Optimistic family, which consists of workshops and unique experiences, including being on the show itself, to coming to participate as an audience member during a live taping, to viewing behind-the-scenes footage at the Mystic Manor each week, longer-run overtime interviews with my soul share guests on each episode, and even peeking in on our workshops and healing sessions each week. All of these options are outlined in detail on the webpage optimistic.tv. That's spelled OPTIMYSTIC.TV. To be perfectly frank, the cost to produce Optimistic is the biggest stretch I've ever made in my life. And it has been a huge leap of faith for me, trusting that if I leap, that the net will appear. So if your life has been enriched by Positive Head in any way, I'm asking you at this time to pay it forward by going to optimistic.tv and choosing one of the many ways to support the evolution of this podcast that is most in alignment with you so that we can reach a broader audience. There are options as low as $2.22 a month, and you can virtually experience life here at the Mystic Manor for only $7.77 a month. Pretty cheap, right? I'd also like to thank you in advance for honoring our soul contract to show up at this very special transitional time in our collective journey, as well as showing up for all the souls out there that will surely benefit from the monetary currency you were inspired to flow into this project to help us all step into a more optimistic world. Once again, the webpage is optimistic.tv. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you all soon at the Mystic Manor. All right, all you positive heads. On this week's Soul Share episode, I'm very excited to have the dynamic duo Michael Hrostoski and Lizzie Loch here with me on the show. Michael has been on the show several times in the past, and now he's back to share even more galactivated insight thanks to a new HearTnership he has embarked on with the lovely Lizzie Loch. It's unfolded over the last year plus or so since the last time he stopped by. Michael, welcome back, my friend. Lizzie, super excited to have you here.
Super awesome to be here. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Mystic Manor is a true 5D living experience. It's been amazing being here for the past couple of days.
Yeah, it's so you guys, just to give you a little insight, Michael and Lizzie are staying here for the week and helping to run retreats this week. As you've heard me talk about, of course, guests come and stay each week, and I'm curating different people to come through. Sydney Campos is here most of the time, and then we bring in other people, but, it's sort of The way I want it to be and envision this place is it being sort of like a wizard's castle, a sorcerer's lair, where things are changing. The art is changing. We're actually in the process of curating art, visionary art all over the place. And so I like the idea of having different talent and energy and teachers and workshops that are sort of custom. Like these guys this week are getting the full Michael Lizzie download. And, the way I view it is that's like mint. It's like the perfect, it sort of lines up as it does. And, I've watched even some of we're in week 3 right now, and I've watched some of the guests. I can already tell they're going to have lifelong friendships. Well, they didn't know each other before they got here, right? So it's like they were just meant to come at that time. Well, the people who are here this week are meant to really work with you two. And I know yesterday was their first full day, and they just look like they stepped off of a UFO or something. They had an intense workshop day, I think. And so yeah, this is super exciting. And I thought, okay, I have you both under the roof. You're here for the week. Why don't, Michael was back originally, if you guys want to go to the original episode with him, episode 665. And, but yeah, we as soon as I realized I had you both here under the Mystic Manor roof, we should do a, 3-way soul share. And you guys are actually going to be on Optimistic this weekend. So this is a full week for all of us, huh?
Yeah, indeed.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been such a beautiful week and such an honor to be here. I agree, like the exact people who are meant to be here at the exact right time with the exact teachers always show up. And yesterday it was fun to see different synchronicities between the women who are here and with us, like medicine that we carry and talents that we have and gifts that we have are so supportive to their journeys. So I really feel that here in this field. It's like whoever's meant to be here will be here at the right time with the people who also come and with the teachers. It's super palpable. Yeah, it's almost like you can't plan it. The universe plans it. It's like, oh, I want to come, in October. Okay. And then it's like, oh, well, it lines up that this particular workshop can happen in October, and this other person is in, there's 3 rooms. So this other person happened to come. And it's interesting. Even me, as I've helped to schedule a lot of who's coming, when, where, how. I'll talk to someone, and then I'll talk to someone else, and then they end up, lining up where they're going to be here on the same week. And I'm like, oh, it makes total sense that, Steve is here the same week as Jim or whatever. It's like it's their energies almost feel like, oh, I already know they're going to be great friends, So it's fun to see how that works just all the way around. It's like creating container for synchronicity and serendipity to flow, and just like letting it unfold, and watching it. It never ceases to amaze me. It's like, especially when you set the intention, I found, for it to work like that.
Yeah, like the first day yesterday was, just so perfect, and just the connections of even personal story and things that we've experienced, and the things that they needed, and the gifts that we had to share. Yeah, it's like I couldn't have written like a better script,
right,
like a better lesson plan for the day, and it just unfolded with like our vulnerable shares and the truth of every moment. And
can't plan this stuff, folks. You can just flow with it. So let's back up. We kind of dove right in, and one of the things I like to ask, and I probably asked it to you, Michael, when you were on episode 665, and then I think you've even co-hosted a few times with me when you were you were around. But one of the things I always like to ask, and we'll ask it to you again, and see how how similar or different your answer is, because we're all constantly evolving and changing all the time, right? That's what's great about this. Here we are today. We're almost this is almost episode 1,000. We're getting I think it's going to happen within the next week or two, which is a pretty cool milestone. Actually, I need to celebrate, do a little celebration episode perhaps. But I'd like to hear the same question that I always ask, and how it's evolved for you. And maybe it'll be similar, maybe it'll be very different. And I always start off with this. You're in an elevator. The woman next to you looks over, says, "What's your passion?" You have 10 floors to answer. What do you say?
Right now, I say my passion is creator consciousness. Just reminding all individuals that like you are a creator, like in the deepest sense of that word, and just reminding them that like just giving them the infinite permission slip to be, do, or have like whatever their heart desires, and that's really it's really evolved over time. When I first started doing this work about 7 years ago, I did my life coaching certification. I was one of 3 men in a room full of hundreds of women. I had this kind of light bulb moment, like, who's the coach for men? And then I built, I've been working with men over like the past 7 years, doing executive coaching, retreats. I started a company called The School for Men. And then I had just a huge, over the past 3 years, this this like infinite bloom of, the multidimensional awakening process. And just so many experiences, almost too much to even mention right now, but just, everything from, going to Peru several times and doing plant medicine and a lot of galactic experiences, seeing a lot of UFOs, having my brother David, who I know, you guys share a birthday, him, becoming a galactic channel and writing a book and just being in that. And it's been this just like full on experience every day that like every day I'm completely stretched and I feel like I'm used to my full capacity to serve and a big part of the last year has been meeting my beloved Lizzie and just really like enjoying that dance of sacred union.
Yeah. Well, that's quite. We definitely shot into the stratosphere, the Willy Wonka style elevator where he goes out and through and into the cosmos. You took us right there. And so, Lizzie, now I'd like that same question for you. Okay. And if you would like to just go ahead and jump right in as well to your background, and sort of what led you to this moment. High level view, obviously. Then you're happy to do that as well.
Yeah, I think for me, my passion is being a creator beyond limitations, and that's kind of how I've lived my whole adult life. I moved to New York City when I was 17, and I worked as a fashion model. I moved there all by myself, and then when I was 20, I moved to LA and started doing script coverage for a production company, and my first job out there was writing a feature film, and then I just took another leap into stand-up comedy and started a tea company, and I've just been constantly in creator mode and taking leaps into the unknown and following my intuition the whole entire time, leading me to deep spiritual and healing journey where I traveled through Mexico and studied with different shamans and healers and went to India and learned from some gurus in Thailand. So I've kind of traveled the world on this like spiritual journey. And then I was curious at first. I had my eyesight healed. And after that happened, I was kind of launched onto this deep journey where I wanted everyone to know that these healing miracles exist. And so I ran around the world with my little video camera, like interviewing all these shamans and healers. And
cool.
And I met a healer, and he was like, "You're gonna be a great healer." And I was like, "Nah, I just want to heal myself." And over time I started feeling energy fields, and now I do energy healing and I channel, and I'm also a creator and a writer and lead people through transformative experiences. And Michael and I now mentor couples and individuals and take them on the journey that's of their highest need that we can serve. And it's been just a beautiful unfoldment of not defining myself by one career path or one title, but allowing my soul to grow in the way that it wants to grow, exactly as it wants to grow, without limitations.
I love that. And that's one of the things that I've always just push back on. My soul has always pushed back so much when someone tries to put me in a box. And so many of us resign to that too. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I am this. I do that. Here's my one talent. I can play the banjo, and I'm an accountant, and that's it. That's me. And they tell the story, and they get told the story, or people around them sort of help to shape the story, and then they buy the ticket, and then they only take that ride, and it's like, your soul is like so vast and capable of so much. So I love, that's the first time I've heard you really break down your background, and it sort of reminds me a little bit of myself, and the fact that I'm just like always, I want to do all the things. It's like, I'm not going to let anything limit me and put me in a box. And I really think that's important. A lot of people, even young people, come out. I'm dealing with this with my son, like, graduated high school and then is like, okay, I've got to know exactly what I'm going to do. No, you don't. Like, you can explore yourself, find yourself, try on all the flavors, go down many paths. And it, after a while, they start to kind of like, there's a similarity, right? So it kind of has, from what I know of you, it seems that, it's sort of crafted you into this unique, emanation of source that you now are. And it took probably all of those things to help to craft you, right?
Absolutely. The way I look at it is kind of like inductive learning, where there's all the pieces, but you don't exactly know how they come together or why they come together until later. And that's kind of how my life has been. It's been all these different pieces, but I've always followed my soul, and I've always put my soul first. And if anything was ever, like you said, putting me in a box or limiting me in any way, any job or anything, I would leave very quickly. It just wasn't, it just didn't feel good. And so I'd say I've always taken a stand for my soul. Yeah.
Yeah. And Michael, I know you and I have been close friends for several years now. So I know a little bit more of sort of what your journey has been. And we were talking the other day, and you brought up something that I thought was really interesting and telling. You said, the last few years for me, one of the hardest things to do was to do as little as possible working on and being with myself. Or maybe you can say it how you remember when we were having lunch, you mentioned like that's, learning to not do so much has been one of the hugest lessons for me. Yeah. I've been in positions of like leadership for over 20 years since I stumbled into the leadership section of the library when I was in high school and read all these books for senior leaders. And I've just always been like, I'm like, I want to serve, I want to help. And so I was on a path of real high achievement, high leadership. And about 3 years ago, there was this like internal feeling when I would sit down at my keyboard to write sales letters or to make offers or to just grow my business. And I would sit down and just there was no motivation to do that. And it's almost like this like invisible hand, which was my soul, was kind of like pulling me back and be like, no, this isn't actually of your highest benefit. So I really just kind of like pulled back from like all the promoting and all the sharing, and it's been just like a deep internal journey. I mean, there have been some days, there've been several days like in the past year where just like what I desire the most is to literally just like sit, and I would just sit with myself for a day, but in that day, just all these pieces of my life would like integrate, and I would just be like healing, because I would just actually take a break from the kind of like that hamster wheel of like production and striving and achievement, which is where I would, source my love from. Be like, oh, look at me, I did this. Hey, mommy, I got straight A's. Yeah, right. And I was still kind of like running that pattern. So to let go of that and just to be and continuing to trust that, even when like my mind was going against that. That's been just a huge journey and something that has unlocked a tremendous amount of gifts and has brought
peace and feelings of like fulfillment and nourishment that I've just deeper than I've ever experienced. Like it's almost, there's some days where like I feel like a kid, like totally like a kid with that kind of playful,
you definitely have that
nature.
Going on. I think we definitely connect on that level. And one of the things that I've really admired about you is your ability to do that. Like, because for me, as someone who has always been such a doer, and it's like, what are you doing all this stuff for all the time? Like, and for someone to actually take a moment and to really self-analyze and look at that and be able to pull it back and like, okay, I don't need to strive so hard. I can stop and smell the roses a little bit. And I've heard it said, and it's something that I've contemplated a lot lately. It's like the real power is, it's even easier to get into that state of, meditative state or, sort of this, multidimensional, field, if you will, where you can create more effortlessly. It's like Osho, I think it was, that said, if you're, everyone should meditate for like 20 minutes a day, unless you're too busy, then you should meditate for an hour. And it's like getting into that state. And knowing you, I've seen you go to that state often. There's a lot of intention and whereas, and I really admire it because it's something that, it's been more challenging for me to stop and enjoy the moment, or because I'm so task oriented, and so I feel like finding that healthy balance of understanding when it's time to like it's like the old, I don't know why this song just popped in my head, Kenny Rogers song, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. And so really knowing when to like push forward, exert yourself out into the world, and when to retract, and finding that dance, I believe, is really the path to creating the most success and happiness and abundance and all the things. Yep. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, listening to the most present cycle, because we all go through different cycles and rhythms in our life, and some seasons are more yin and more slow and more self, and looking deep within and revealing aspects of yourself that are going to be like worked with and alchemized and take you on to the next part of your journey even more powerfully. And some seasons are like you've been in, Brandon, are go, like let's create this, let's do this, which has been so admirable to watch. You're just like, let's do it, and you do it, and you do it. And so sometimes that is what life calls for. Right. Like just really listening to what's actually present and what is my energy and my being called to act or not act in, and sit in the void and sit in the nothingness and be like, whoa, what is really here? Right. And it's terrifying being in that space. It's terrifying with all the public conditioning. Like, you should be working, you should be doing. And
didn't you see that 125-year-old who already has $1 billion company? Where are you? Like,
Like, nope, I'm just going to go deeper. When I started meditating, the healer who healed my eyesight was like, I had a very busy cerebral mind, was always like brilliant in school, and just like my mind is constantly active. And she was like, you need to meditate 4 hours a day. Whoa. And I was like, what?
Say, huh?
And I did it. And after about like, I did it for about a month. Every day I'd be like in my car before meetings, like I gotta get my 4 hours. Like, every like minute
you even made that task oriented.
I did. It was a shift. It was a huge shift for me from being like OCD hyper productive. Right. I used to schedule every minute of my day down to like 5 and 10-minute chunks. And then now I'm like, and then I went to completely the opposite place where it was a complete flow, timelessness all the time. And now it's really been incorporating like the balance of both, like that structured creative energy. I find like a really sweet spot in life.
Cool.
And there's there are great gifts to intensity and ambition and focus. Even right, love, like when you started meditating, didn't you start just like seeing visions in like the first week? And
yeah, I thought meditation was visions. Like I didn't realize that it was just breathing, and I would just get full movies in my head. So then meditation became visual entertainment for me.
Yeah. I'm going to the show.
Yeah, I was
going to
like,
the
doesn't
5D show.
everyone love meditation? This is great.
Right.
My friend's like, that's usually not how it goes.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, okay. And then I was like, am I even meditating then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm cheating because I'm really going to the 5D cinema. Like,
This is awesome.
wow. That's super cool. Well, I'd love to hear a lot about you guys' new HearTnership, as my friend Chris Jackson always calls it, a HearTnership. I think of him when I say that. And you guys have definitely exemplified that, I feel. Social media is so interesting for the ability for people to really give a glimpse into their lives, and it's relatively new for all of us. And knowing Michael, being good friends with Michael before this developed, and then watching it unfold, and not really seeing you much in the year or so that you two have been together until now, and getting to sort of drop in and follow the journey and feel the sharing. It's like, oh, here's two epic souls that have come together. They're obviously divine design, like soul contract, major style is playing out here, and we all get a little glimpse into it. And you guys have been super creative and fun in the way you've sort of put it out there. And I've seen this a few times where it's like these souls that come together who are both at a place that have really done a lot of the inner work, and then all of a sudden, I talk about this sometimes on the show. It's like, getting to a point where you've done the self-work, and instead of finding someone to complete you, it's, which is sort of like old paradigm idea. Oh, I need my better half. I need to be, you complete me. It's like, no. You two are people that have done the work and are whole in yourself, and then come together. And now it's not like I have to have you to complete myself. It's like I'm choosing to co-create with you because you're a beautiful reflection in your wholeness that I am, and now it's a whole different type of alchemical co-creation. And I'd love to just maybe you guys can share a little bit about your meeting story and what the intensity of that journey has been like for you.
Yeah, the meeting story. Last year, around this time, actually, I got brought on board to help produce an art installation at Burning Man that my friend was creating called the Cosmic Heart Temple. And I came on board. I wasn't even going to go. And then a couple weeks into helping produce, she's like, come to Burning Man. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, I guess so. And then, all the pieces of, my ticket and all the, pieces to go to Burning Man just kind of happened for me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, this is really easy. And so I show up at Burning Man, and there's the Cosmic Heart Temple, and then one night there's a cacao ceremony.
And then for me, it was my sixth burn. I wasn't even going to go because I didn't feel the pull. And just a month out before, one of my close friends, Sterling, who I was staying with in Austin, he decided to go. And for me, I just that inspired me to go, and I just wanted to help him have the best experience, be kind of like a Burning Man Sherpa.
Mm-hmm. So it was his first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was his first time. So I went in with this energy of kind of like the cosmic dad. Of just I'm just here to just help people, open people up, ask them questions, support, maybe hold their hand if they're having a bad psychedelic experience, or
right.
help them get to the bathrooms. It was very much like a service orientation. And then on Thursday, I was dressed in all white because there was a wedding that day. I was dressed in all white, and I sit down in this cacao ceremony Thursday night. And I sit down. There's a woman named Joy sitting next to me, and then next to her is Lizzie. So we literally met with Joy between us.
That's so cool.
And then I turned. I'm in this beautiful. I've never put this kind of realization together, but I met like Lizzie, my future wife, in one of the most beautiful spaces I've ever been in my life. Like it was incredible. The architecture, it was like.
Was it the temple, or
It
was
was the Cosmic Heart Temple.
Yeah, it was the Cosmic Heart Temple. Just beautiful space. There's a lot of similarities to the Mystic Manor, actually, like in just like the design is beautiful white space. Everything is like just like immaculately beautiful. And I turn and I make eye contact with this woman next to me. Next to Joy, which is Lizzie, and I look like left eye to left eye, and I just like I see space and I see the cosmos, and I just boom,
wow,
just like fall into her, and it like took my breath away. It was so unexpected, like I just fell into like everything. And
so this is upon just like seeing Lizzie for the first time.
Yeah, that was the first time. This woman who I had never met Lizzie before, didn't know of her. We had some common friends. I sat down, boom, I fall into space, and the first words that just come out of my heart are just like, "Thank you for doing your work." And I knew that I had met someone who had just been like deep on the path, and I just felt this like reverence for this woman in front of me, and there was no romantic feelings, like no sexual feelings. Like it was just like, wow, like thank you for doing your work. And then I think the next words out of my mouth was like, wow, your laugh channel's really open. And then
Your laugh channel, I love it.
and then we just started laughing, and we're just laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing, and just like in this like cosmic giggle together. And then I just started like touching her, like just touching her, like her shoulder and her leg, kind of like maybe like a kid who's like touching.
Are you real?
And we just sat there, and we were just going, wow, like you're real.
Yeah, and I was doing that back. You're real. You're real. Like,
you're
it was
real.
all- And when Michael walked in, I looked at him and I go, "Oh, I know him," or like I'm going to know him. It was just like an instant, like him
Recognition.
laser focus on this human in the room,
Yeah.
like something really deep and powerful there that I should pay attention to. And I didn't know what it was, and it wasn't like, "Oh, he's cute" or anything like that. It was like, "Whoa, what is this?"
Yeah. I noticed that oftentimes. I've talked about that a lot. If you pay attention, I think back to like even school, like the school days, walking into class for the first day, and there's 30 kids in the room, but for some reason you're really, really intrigued by this person over in the corner, right? Your attention and energy is just drawn to them for some unknown reason. And then if you look back in retrospect, that person ended up becoming something of significance to you.
Yeah.
Almost every time when I do that. So now I really pay attention to when I'm really intrigued by someone for no unknown reason. You know, and I think that's a really interesting thing that I think anyone listening can probably think back on and be like, oh, yeah, that was the case, you know. So it's interesting once you're aware that seems to happen for all of us, especially in the case of like, you know, such a big event as, you know, two souls meant to, you know, be like husband and wife coming together for the first time. There's probably like all these like energetic fireworks just shooting off all over the place, right?
Well, speaking of fireworks, we walk outside of the Cosmic Heart Temple. Michael was like, I have to go to the bathroom. And then, like, there was about to be a sound healing that was happening. And he got up and left. And, like, literally, I was about to lay down for the sound healing. And, like, there was no space for me. And this woman looks at me and she goes, "You better leave." And I go, "What?" And then, like, I got a soul message, like, "Oh, I need to go talk to him." Like, because Michael had just left at that point. And, like, she literally, it was like a spirit speaking through her saying, "You better leave." And so I walk out and I see Michael outside the Cosmic Heart Temple. And we're just, like, making eye contact. And literally fireworks go off behind us.
That's so funny I said that. I had no idea.
Of course, you're intuiting it. And I just look in his eyes, and, like, we hadn't even, like, kissed or anything. I just look into his eyes, and I was like, this feels oddly like a fairy tale. And I was like, did I write this?
Oh, yeah.
This is nice.
Wow.
And, yeah.
Nice authoring.
Yeah. And then after that, it was just a really, really deep journey of play and multidimensionality and, like, creation over the next couple days at Burning Man.
So you, like, shared the rest of you. What day was this?
Yeah, we met on Thursday night.
Okay.
And then the rest of the Burning Man, we were pretty
Together.
much together the whole entire time. And yeah.
Yeah, and we hung out on Friday, and we'd be riding bikes, climbing on art, exploring things, it's like the more I would just ask all these questions, and it's like everything that I would ask her, she would respond with like the response that it's like I couldn't have even like dreamt this up. Like everything that I was into, everything that I wanted to create, all of my like just like deepest journeys and insights, and just like I would just share everything that I love, and she'd be like, yep. It's like I just kept getting back a reflection from her of just like everything that I love and everything that I'm into, like you're into too, and like you've experienced and and just it was so deep, like a lucid dream, or it was like a lucid dream or like a LSD journey, just for the first month. But
And you were sober, right?
Oh yeah,
we didn't do
100%.
anything.
Yeah, and knowing Michael, like you don't really
Yeah, we were completely.
use any of those medicines at this point in your journey.
not.
We don't need
not
them.
now.
Yeah.
That's just how our life is. Like every day is a full-on
Psychedelic
multidimensional psychedelic
Yeah,
journey.
well, and I hear that more and more from people. Like, we just had, I just had Julie Ryan here at the Mystic Manor, and she was like, she's like 60 years old or whatever, and she's like, life is so psychedelic. Once you open up your third eye, you don't need any of that. But for some people, of course, I think it's a great tool. Also, to when you get the message, learn to hang up the phone as well. And so, yeah, really, really fascinating. So, one of the things so now you guys are together. You've been together about a year. I've been hearing a little bit here and there from Michael, and now, of course, getting to experience your HearTnership firsthand. What are some of the... one thing that comes to mind for me instantly is this idea Eckhart Tolle talked about, and actually one of the Mystic Manor guests, Illy, actually just shared this the other day on her Instagram, and I was like, that's so good, I got to save it and address that, and this is the perfect time. She posted a quote from Eckhart Tolle that said, "If I accept the fact that my relationships are here to make me conscious instead of happy, then my relationships become a wonderful self-mastery tool that keeps realigning me with my higher purpose for living." And I'm curious what you guys think about that quote, and how that has played into your journey over the last year.
Yeah, that quote is so accurate and on point. In our journey from the very beginning, when we first met, transparency was like probably one of our greatest values, and we were transparent about every single thing that like had happened to us, was going on in the present moment, all the thoughts, all the fears, like everything we were transparent about. We even like had a moment where we like shared everything that we maybe had some sort of shame around with each other, and we're like, okay, we're gonna just share it all. And we just shared it all with each other, and it was held and received in such unconditional love. And our relationship has been such a place of where it's not like we're working through like crazy triggers all the time like twin flames, but we do have things come up and that like we get to do high level alchemy with, and some of it's like transpersonal at this point, and we're able to look at it and be like, I'm noticing like this thought pattern, and it has to do with like this programming from like whatever place, and like we get to kind of like look at it and like alchemize and like really create a container for alchemy, and like continually we're calling each other forward. Like we see each other eye to eye, human to human, and if there's something that we noticed, we're constantly reflecting and like refining each other, like creating like a diamond out of our love and out of ourselves. So it's a really deep and intricate and delicate and beautiful and fun. Mostly fun.
Seems like you guys have a lot of fun.
We like to play.
Yeah, play is a key component, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. At home, it's like sacred improv every day. It's just constantly.
I like that.
Our intuition and our sensitivity has which was already high, has just up leveled so much just through more truth. So like we can feel each other's thoughts and feelings, and that's just something like I've learned to accept. I'm like, all right, like Lizzie can feel my thoughts. She can even like see my thought forms. So it's like it's a level of like
you ain't hiding, buddy.
Yeah. So it's
There's
like
no hiding, which is great.
it's a level of transparency that like actually goes beyond what my mind had ever known was possible. But it's this like really beautiful like distillation process, and I'm so grateful for Lizzie, because she's like, she's consistently like called me forward into higher timelines, and it has. I mean, it's been challenging at times. Evolution is scary when you're like the first one, jumping out of the ocean onto land, or
right.
when you're stepping, when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, and there have been times where like it almost feels like I'm stepping like out of like the human experience comfort zone. Like, I mean, there's things that like just feel so unknown, but like as I'm going through these initiations and these deep processes, I'm just basically like letting go of old programs, old identities, old like composites, old beliefs, things that just like are not needed for this new, like whatever you want to call it, the new Earth, Diamond Earth, 5D Earth, the next golden age that is here. Like it's actually here, and it's pretty fully anchored in, I mean, a lot of our closest friends, and like we're the ones who are just kind of like redesigning the all of the systems, and just like recreating a planet that works for all of us, where everyone can thrive, and there's certain ways of being that just I've had both like the opportunity and the honor and the great displeasure of of like letting go of, because I know that like that's not useful anymore for what we are all here to co-create together to make the world a better place. So it's been just like it's almost hard to like really have words for it, because I mean every day is like so shamanic and so galactic, and just we could just be sitting on our porch just like drinking coffee and just having just like the deepest like a medicine journey type process. But it's just like, oh yeah, like this is just like we're just
this is life.
Coffee.
This is 5D life.
Yeah.
And the intensity has normalized. So just things in the past that like would have like taken me out for a day, or like required hours of integration, like we'll just handle that in like 5 minutes, and then we'll just go back to writing copy or go back to doing something. So it's like nonstop wizardry, having a partner who really sees me, and doesn't like put me on a pedestal in any way, and isn't like, and like doesn't care who I was, doesn't care of like what I've done, but she just is fully present to like who I am right now, and that's just called forth like so much more of me in every moment.
Wow. So what would you guys say to someone who is, they're out there, they're listening, they're hearing you guys' story, and feeling your incredible, vibe individually and collectively, and they're thinking, I want that. How do I get that?
Yeah.
And obviously you guys did a lot of individual work leading up to that. And I know that's going to be some part of the response, but maybe share with those out there listening who, maybe are single now, or have had very tumultuous relationships, certainly haven't been in maybe a relationship where both parties are so equally on, that's like you two. I see sometimes I'll talk to people who are like, oh yeah, my partner is, he's not into this woo-woo stuff or what, they're kind of like together, but they're on like different levels completely, and you two being so closely aligned, and then also, as a result, it's like sort of taking your relationship into the whole nother level, whole nother stratosphere. And any of us, I mean, me sitting here as a single person, it's like, oh yeah, you guys are exemplary of what it is that I'm calling in as well. I have no need for it to happen tomorrow or next week or next month, but I know it will. And at the same time, I don't feel I've had a relationship that is so next level, where you're sort of traversing, like you said, having coffee on the porch is like a 5D, shamanic journey. And I really feel that. And you're not just saying that. I mean, I feel that from being around you. It's like you guys are always on this level energetically. And I can also tell it's like your primary focus is to maintain that level too, and not to get thrown off of it. And so for those of us who really want to call that in, what would your advice be?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. Yeah, we've been super called to work with these type of humans, because so many people have just asked us for guidance on this. And for both of us, and I'll speak for myself first, and Michael can speak for himself. For me, when I met Michael, I was not in a place of needing anything. I wasn't even looking for a relationship. I was so happy and content and balanced, and really in just the joy of being alive and playing and having really nurturing friendships and community, and was surrounded by so much love before I met Michael, and just my friends, and in being a part of creating the Cosmic Heart Temple, and was just really doing well. But a year before I met him, I think there was a moment where I was frustrated with dating, and I was just having a hard moment, and I just was crying and bawling, and I just this poem came through from a really deep, vulnerable, honest place from my soul, really. And I just wrote out this poem of what I wanted in a man, and I just wrote it all out. And when I met Michael, about a month or two after I met him, I was going through my Google Docs of poetry, and I stumbled upon this one, and I was what? And I read it, and I was whoa, this describes Michael exactly.
Wow.
And I read it out loud while he was sitting in front of me to him, and it was like reading something I had created in the actual physical manifestation.
Wow.
Right there. And one other tip I would give is not to settle on something. If it's not totally it's okay to leave. Mm-hmm. It's okay. If a part of you is tugging at you, and you know that you're not growing, and that person is not making you the best version of yourself just by being in their reflection, not that it's their job, but just by being in their reflection, then and listen to that pull, and listen to that urge, and take that leap. Because Michael and I both did that before we left other relationships. And by doing that and taking those leaps, we ended up being able to align and find each other.
Wow. Yeah, that's such a powerful piece of advice. I feel like so many people stay in it because of that fear of being alone, or but there's these three things that are really good, and let's just kind of not deal with the other 10 that are not in alignment. And I think that's I feel like we all have to get really comfortable with the idea of being alone, because we're fractals of source. And what is source? It is one. What does one mean? There's not another. And if there's not another, who do you have to fall in love with? Yourself. Yeah. And, a partnership and relationship, really, you two coming together, our source playing a game with itself, divided itself into two so it could have this experience of other. And, but at the end of the day, it's God loving herself, right? And so I think that's a really important piece, is people need to get super comfortable. And I feel like that's why I know I've been single one of the longest stints in my adult life, and I couldn't be more comfortable with it and happy about it, and knowing and trusting that inevitably I end up in something similar to what you are, in divine timing, and I don't need it to happen at all, just like you were in that state, Lizzie. It's like, it doesn't mean you don't have those moments where you're like, frustrated or missing it, or that's all natural. But I think that's a wonderful piece of advice. So many people just sort of settle. And that's one thing that I feel like I've done really well is I've refused to settle in my life and continue to, I'm worthy of more. I'm worthy of more. And that story, telling that story is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the first part I was going to speak. Get really intimate with your aloneness, and learn to love it, because like that is an experience that is available for you on planet Earth. Is to be so like at atonement, right? At one-ment, to be just so like enthralled and nourished and at joy and at peace, just like enjoying the pleasure of your own existence and your breath. And I used to not. I mean, like 20 years ago, I was that kid who, if I wasn't out with my friends on a Friday or Saturday night, I'd be like, oh man, I'm a loser. No one, like I'm not living my life. And then the more that I got to just really like love being with myself, all of the reasons that I like really like needed others from an unhealthy place for myself, started to fall off. And also you guys already said kind of like the main two things that I was going to say. And then also around settling, there's been this really cool phenomenon for me, where after meeting Lizzie, when like one of my friends or a client, if they're like either having a breakup, if I meet anyone and they say, oh man, I just had a divorce, or I just my girlfriend broke up with me, I legitimately feel joy, which is like a new experience.
Wow.
And I feel joy and I go, oh cool, I can't wait to see what you create with all that energy that just came back to you. And it's an actual joy, like just because I legitimately know that something better is coming for them. Like I just know that, because they wouldn't.
You trust it maybe more than they do.
Yeah, I just full trust of it, and that that's really allowed me to. I think both of us just be with people's like relationship stuff and fears and sadness just so easily, because like we believe, as cliche as this sounds, like I'm a believer in true love, because like I'm in it and I'm experiencing it every day. And it's my mind is being blown even saying that as I look back at my journey. But it's like I just can't deny what I'm experiencing every day. And from the belief of that, I know like what one man can do, any man can do. What one woman can do, any woman can do. Right?
Yes.
What one ET can do, any ET can do. So I just know that like that's an available experience on planet Earth, because I'm living it now. So I just want to share it. Just like, hey, like true love, like it's definitely a thing. Like I didn't even know it was a possibility for me, but like now that I'm living it, like I believe in it, and I see the power of it, and it's so powerful. I'm in states of awe. I mean, it just awe very, very often. And Lizzie and I call it the wow portal. So the wow portal will be like when just something happens where, I mean, she might say something that just shatters my mind, like as I'm eating like eggs for breakfast, or we might have a synchronicity that's so just so mind blowing, and then like all I can do is like wow, and that happens like very often in our life, and there's a friction free. I mean, there is tension, and there is friction, because like those are like that's the shadow integration, and that's the growth, and that's like the human experience that we're in. But a lot of the times it is like pretty friction free, and that allows us to both kind of like be in that God source stream and have both of our intuition just kind of like playing with each other, and what is created from that space is like it's just magic, and it's such a new and novel experience for myself that at times like it's even finding words is a little challenging. So this is my best way of articulating something that I'm experiencing in my personal experience that like I didn't even have words for a year ago, because it's like it's so new to me.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, I never knew that there would be such freedom in commitment.
Oh, wow.
My mind has been blown, because I've always been a very free spirit, like traveled the world by myself and just would just go. And with Michael, I have found an even greater sense of freedom and growth in his reflection, which has just been mind-blowing and awesome. And I think really having that like commitment and that like we're partners, so like, because every relationship there's growth points, and that's what makes us evolve as a species. So those are beautiful, and being able to not like run when it gets like scary, and actually like create the alchemy and hold the container is what has allowed for such like beautiful growth and like deeper love and deeper play and deeper connection every time we grow. So it's like a continual growth and a continual deepening that occurs because of that.
Powerful, powerful. So what do you guys think about, these are such charged terms, and you hear a lot floating out there about this idea of twin flames or soulmates. And I'm curious what both of your takes are on these sort of labels.
Yeah, so for me, I honestly give zero power to any of those labels. Like if someone were to say, is Michael my twin flame or soulmate? I'd say, yeah, he's probably both. But for me personally, it doesn't really serve a purpose to attach a story and all these things that are going to happen because of that connection. And so what I've found is just being like, I'm kind of like a scientist of reality. And so I really like to experience things and extract what's real for myself. Like I used to read a ton of books, and now I like just write the books through my own experience.
Right.
And I found that to be more helpful. Granted, if someone gives me like a reflection around twin flame or soulmates that feels so resonant, I'm not going to reject that.
Sure.
But if it doesn't feel resonant, then I just say, that's not for me.
Yeah, you're careful with the box that it maybe could create, because you've got all this energy. They're like buzzwords. You've got all this energy going towards them. And then now, like anything, when you have the collective consciousness putting, okay, we're creating this framework, twin flame equals XYZ, soulmate equals XYZ, all of a sudden you sign up energetically to say, yes, I am that. All of a sudden you're now energetically putting yourself in this box, which once again, all these boxes are made to be shattered, I think. So I like your perspective on that a lot.
Yeah.
What's yours, Michael?
Yeah, just I don't give them too much weight, and as I feel into the like collective consciousness of like those terms, twin flames, like it feels real hot, like there's just like a lot of heat, and it's I feel like at times. People who are in twin flame relationships almost like allow themselves to like experience levels of like intensity, or even like
Something's got to burn.
Yeah, like intensity or even abuse, because they've put that label on it, and it's like it's a mental construct of something that like you just kind of put over yourselves, and it might not actually be what's real. So what I really appreciate about Lizzie and I is like we don't do a lot of labels, but it's just the truth. Like we just share vulnerably and authentically from the heart, just nonstop, and like that's what's creating the trajectory of our lives. So we don't, we really don't just put ourselves in many boxes, because that would be limiting. And I love what you said too. Like that's buying into a belief system of relationships, and then you start to experience that in your life, because you're literally creating that with your thoughts. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be like politically correct around this, but like I don't give. I pretty much give like zero energy to it, and even when people say, "Oh, like you guys are soulmates," like that feels true that Lizzie and I are soulmates. But like I don't. It's not like this like big badge of honor or something that I like even think about, because I'm just focused on like here and her and what's being created through our love.
It's like, yeah, and now you should go out and find your soul, mate. Dun-dun-dun.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. And I like the neutrality approaching it. It's like, the truth is if you probably dissected it and peer behind the curtain, there's probably a whole lot of something going on between the two of you, probably across many lifetimes and, all of that.
Sure.
And we have a soul contract to show up for each other and play these key roles at this time. And maybe it'll last the rest of your lifetime, and maybe it'll last, a shorter period of time than what some would consider to be successful. That's one of the things with relationships I think is a huge reworking that I'm actually seeing happen in our community, where there's these conscious uncouplings, right? Where people are like, hey, me and so-and-so, you guys know us as this epic partnership. We've decided to grow in separate directions. And, even my friend Tala, who's been on the show, was here with a recent partner. They were both here at the Mystic Manor last week, and they're like, oh, we've decided to grow in separate directions, and we're still great friends, and they're together. And I'm thinking, here you are together. You've recently, quote unquote, broke up, and yet the energy is so different than what we've been taught it should be. We failed. It's over. It's bad. We need to be enemies. We need to be, all of that energy is so old and tired. And, I believe a relationship comes together for mutual growth. And when that mutual growth has expended itself, that's happened, the optimal amount of growth, a natural separation occurs. And typically what happens with us as humans, we get so attached, we try and stay past the expiration date because comfort and familiarity and all those things. And then it gets into all the tensions of, why isn't it working? Why isn't it feeling like it used to? There's something wrong. No, it's about, like Eckhart Tolle said, when you understand it's about, here to make you conscious, not necessarily last forever or make you, and not to say that they can't. Like in you guys' case, it would not surprise me. And if I had to bet, I bet you would be together, 10 years from now. But who really knows, right? And if you weren't, that doesn't in any way devalue what's going on here and now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to be able to discern the difference, to know like, hey, like my time is up with this partner, or hey, this is a really hard growth edge that we're going to grow through together. And like, I think if both partners are super committed to that growth and they're committed to growing together, they're more likely to. But I think really having that like discernment of like what is in my highest interest and not having it attached to anything is really powerful. But yeah, I know for us, there's such like a deep commitment and like deep soul track, hey?
Hey. Break it down now. You guys do like to freestyle together, right?
We do.
Right, let's take this a different direction. Here we go, everyone.
Let's go. Hey. There is like we're building a foundation, like a company together, so it's like it is something. But I think having I think one of the first things that Michael and I said together when we met at Burning Man, which I think was really powerful, is we looked each other in the eye as like the temple was burning, and we said, I don't need you. And then we just repeated back to each other, like, I don't need you.
That's powerful.
Like, I don't need you.
Yeah. I just feel like I felt it. The first 48 hours, it was like channeled communication. It's just like all these things just kept coming through, boom, 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 and we would like repeat them back and forth. And and I felt this in my heart, and I just needed to communicate. I said, I don't need you. And then Lizzie received it so well, and she kind of laughed and looked at me and she said, oh, like, I don't need you. And then we both felt this this big space between us that felt so good.
What an awesome foundation to kick things off on.
And both of us, what has really helped is both of us like do have a deep relationship with ourselves.
Yeah.
Like I've spent so much time alone, like completely by myself, not even talking to humans for days at a time. And like the relationship that we both have with loving ourselves is so deep and we both like really take a stand for ourselves, and that has like, yeah, just really allows us to align in even deeper ways and grow in deeper ways.
Yeah, I want to speak to something too. So on the second day of meeting Lizzie, we're riding our bicycles on the playa. She's to the right of me. I turn and I look at her and like I feel into her heart, and I just fall into her heart. Like I feel like my whole being, like there was no resistance to being loved, and it's like she just like. It's like, yep, there's plenty of room here.
Wow.
Like I fell into her heart. That's like the like somatic experience I had. And I fell into her heart, and this thought came through that I never had before, and this is my wife.
Wow.
And it came through, and there was no fear. It was just this knowing, and I accepted it, and it was cool. Like this, and and then
later that night. Yeah, later that night we were riding on bikes, and he didn't speak that to me yet, and we were riding on bikes, and I don't know, something magical was happening, and I just like look at him, and this knowing dropped in for me, and I go, this is my life partner. Like absolutely. Like we're not only romantic partners, but we're life partners. Like the whole picture, the whole creation, the whole business, like everything was just like, I felt the like patterns so perfectly fitting, and like obviously like we came here to do this. Like it was just like that was like apparent to me on so many levels, and and it was so like, okay, it's time.
Wow.
Like it was just like, and we even had a conversation like, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
And then we were both like, yeah, we are. And after meeting Michael, I see timelines, and I saw the timeline with us together, and then all my other timelines were like completely black.
Wow.
And so it was like, this was the clearest thing, and everything else before that and that was happening, I was like, that is not clear. And like, no matter how good or cool or awesome it was, it's no longer relevant in my life. And like, this is like 100% the direction. And we were just all in from the beginning.
Wow.
Yeah. And I moved into Lizzie's place like a couple days later in Los Angeles. We actually merged all of our money in the first week, because we just had a conversation. We're like, yep, this is what's going on. You know, my business, your business, our projects, our money. And it's like, oh, let's just merge it. And like, that was the only, like, it was the choice. Like it was just like the obvious choice for us. Like we don't recommend that to everyone listening, but for us, it was the obvious choice, and it created like a deeper like financial and legal container for our love, and just another layer of commitment. And I wanted to kind of talk about these layers, because since we have this, we're able to like very transparently share, because like there are fears at times, and like we'll just be, you know, like there's an aspect of myself that like wants to run right now, or like there's an aspect that feels really afraid, and then we'll both like in our like soul knowing container that we're all in on, we'll both kind of like mama bear, papa bear, kind of mother God, father God, just like love on this fear, because it's like it's just a fear, whether it's in me or whether it's in Lizzie, and that has just been, it's been amazing to be able to just be like completely honest, and to be able to just like both hold together just like any of these fears or any of these concerns, and almost enfold these like false timelines just back into source, and then let them go, because like we know what we're here to do, and we know who we are. But just since it's so solid, we're able to go to like levels of like fear in the body, and just love them. And it's like, it's just the work is so deep all the time, but it just when I look at the like energetic foundation that we have, you know, like and again, one's one's not better. Like everyone is a human equal. But, some people might meet on three things. It's like, we like the Green Bay Packers. We both went to school in Chicago, and we both work in accounting. I feel like we meet on like millions.
Yeah.
We have like millions of matches, just because of like how much we talk about and how much we share, and like how much space you've held for me, and like my entire being, and how much space I've held for you. And so the web of our relationship gets to hold some like just like really, really deep stuff, and that has consistently helped me like feel safer on Earth, and in ways that I probably have never felt in my life, even like with my family as a kid.
Wow. Well, you guys are definitely setting the pace. Everyone out there listening, we're like, you're probably thinking, all right, time for me to up my game. There's, I know what I'm aiming for here. And this has been absolutely amazing. I would, we still have a few minutes here, and I'd like to shift gears just a little bit. As you guys know, I love stories of synchronicity, serendipity, positive paranormal stories. We didn't really get too much into that. Lizzie, you have a lot of interesting things going on that level. Michael, you and I shared a really cool one together, between me, you, kind of a triad with your brother the other day on my birthday and your brother's birthday, July 28th. You guys have heard me tell my birthday magic, and it's deepened in the last couple of days on my birthday. And David, who is also Hrostoski, who was on the show a while back. So David, your brother, who is on episode 742, who is an ascension channeler and fascinating. Obviously, we have a brotherly connection, Michael, and it's I think it's fascinating that your brother, of course, is July 28th as well. So maybe you'd like to share. I think that would be a fun little story to share. What just happened a few days ago? Oh,
that was so cool. So David, my brother, just moved to Seattle with his beloved Miriam, and he lives 100% intuition. He's in communication with like galactic intelligence all the time. So he's like him and Miriam are on a full-time spirit walk, and on that full-time spirit walk, they walked by an eyeglass store called Optimistic Eyes, and he
spelled MYST. I see.
and he took a picture of it and then posted it on your wall for your birthday.
Our birthday, because it's his birthday too.
That's one of the most mind-blowing synchronicities I've seen in a while, because it's like it's optimistic and it's eyes. The optimistic logo has
the
an eye in the middle of a Vesca Pisces, and it's spelled the same way. Like I've never seen optimistic anywhere else.
I haven't either.
And he walked by on both of your birthdays.
On July 28th, he's out walking around. He comes across Optimistic Eyes, a glasses store in Seattle. He shares it. It's like, on our birthday, and of course, and then Michael had just gotten into town the night before, so it's like, oh, Michael, you're here with me, your brother, it's obviously we're like deep soul connection, soul family, and it's just such a beautiful, speaking of eyes, wink from the universe. Like it was like my favorite birthday gift. It was absolutely epic.
I think we're on the right track.
I think so.
We're on the soul track.
We are on the soul track. Break it down now.
Don't.
All right, Lizzie, your turn to break down. What kind of magic you got up your sleeve?
Gosh, a story, or just
it can be a story or anything sort of, synchronicity story, serendipity story, or if you just want to talk about like some sort of paranormal experience. Or I know the first night you were here, you were having like a cool kind of magical experience. So anything that just bubbles up. There's no.
Yeah, for me at this point, my life is like a paranormal experience.
Right.
My like everyday reality is so beyond the physical reality, just in what I see and sense and experience. So it's almost difficult to know what that even means anymore, because for me it's normal. My normal reality is seeing like lights and orbs and energy and channeling. I channel like light language and do energy healing, and it all, like, my journey really began in synchronicity after I had my eyesight healed by an energy healer, fixed my vision from...
Back to the eyes again.
Yeah, back to the eye. I guess we're going with the eyes.
Yeah.
Because it helped me see in many ways. And after I was, like, terrible eyes since I was 9 years old, because I used to, like, read in the dark late at night, and I strained my eyes, and... this energy healer was staying with me in LA, and she was like, let me try to do that. And I was like, sure, why not? And she did. She fixed my eyes, and I was also so committed to having my eyes fixed that I think my brain also did it. And
Oh, so you had really poor vision, and it went like LASIK surgery style.
Yeah, LASIK surgery with energy.
Wow, I could have saved $5,000 if I just hung out with you.
Yeah, it's for real. And then my journey in Mexico, which really launched my life into full synchronicity, which it goes through phases of like fully locking into that all the time and moments of not that. But in Mexico, I started learning about indigenous tribes and healers, and I would be like, I want to meet a Mayan healer. And the next day, a Mayan healer walked up to me on the street and was like, we're supposed to meet.
Wow.
And I ended up studying under him and learning from him, and he did like deep healing work and connected me to the Mayan elders and tribes, and that whole experience in Mexico, I didn't Google search a single thing. I literally would just meet someone. I'd have an intention. I'd be like, I want to go travel Mexico and meet a tribe leader. And then the next day at this art residency in Tulum, it was called Guerrilla Residency, and my friend Alfonso ran it, and this man came up to me and he's like, well, my cousin is married to a shaman of this indigenous tribe outside Mexico City. And then I would end up going on a journey to Tehuacan outside Mexico City and doing Temazcal and then meeting other healers who lived like deep in the jungle. And I went deep in the jungle for a toad medicine ceremony once. And this was when I was first learning about plant medicine and came from never drinking alcohol or doing any substance my whole life because I didn't need it. I was always naturally high.
Right.
And like I was always the drunkest person in the room without anything. Like people were like, slow down. And I was in the jungle. I like got dropped off by a taxi cab in the middle of the jungle. There's like jaguars in the jungle. I'm like wearing a dress and like flip-flops, and I'm like walking around the jungle, like taking selfies, like taking pictures, exploring. And I like find the ceremony in the middle of the jungle, and there's a man laying there, and he's almost, he's on the verge of death. And there's these women like fanning him around, and they're about to do a toad medicine ceremony. And I watched them, like his eyes were lifeless, like his soul was out of his body. He was gone, and his family had traveled all across Mexico in this like giant orange van, like 12 of them. And they gave him the medicine, and like shortly after they gave him the medicine, I literally watched like his like soul come into his body. Like it was a felt sense of like whew.
Wow.
And then he was back, and there was life in his eyes, and that was when I watched a plant medicine literally save someone's life.
Whoa.
And then the family ended up driving me back to the city, and I sat in the car with like all 12 of them in this giant orange van, and the man laying on like a bed in the open van in the back. And it was just like so loving and so caring, and yeah, just the power of following those hits like they did to go save their brother or their son, and drive all the way across the country to do this medicine. And
wow.
And I ended up being there and like interviewed the shaman. And so it was just like all these pieces of synchronicity and connection and learning and growth and reflection has just been like my whole journey, my everyday.
Yeah.
If that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. More than answers it. You know, one of the things that I found really interesting when you first arrived here at the Mystic Manor. Of course, there's this is definitely, we're only a few weeks into we have our third week of guests here now. There's going to be 37 weeks, coming, each week at least 3 people over the coming year. And I know some of you out there listening are thinking about coming or already planning to come, and obviously you're going to be stepping into a vortex of magic. And Michael, you were like, feels a little like Burning Man in a really, with a lot less dust. There's a lot of people, magical people coming and going, and gatherings and workshops and all that stuff that you kind of think of with Burning Man. But one of the things, Lizzie, that was interesting when you first got here, you were saying, before the guests arrived, you'd just been here a day or so. You said, okay, I'm actually doing an energetic clearing of the space because there's so much work being done here. People are sort of leaving their baggage in a sense. Mm-hmm. So it's important to clear the energy each time. So, and you were speaking a little bit about even seeing that energy or, sort of like in a visual sense. Mm-hmm. Maybe you could just share a little bit about what that's like for you.
Yeah, so for me, it's like I can tune into a human's body and into a space, and I can see it with my eyes closed or my eyes open, or even imagine it on an object and kind of look at it, and it's like seeing through the air kind of into another picture. It's the best way to describe it. And I'll just notice certain areas where there's things, and it will appear different. It will appear as black substance sometimes, or it will appear as pictures or visuals or animals or snakes. Or the other day I was doing a clearing on someone, and I watched 2 black snakes leave her head. Wow. And then I saw a blue-faced being next to her head. And, wow. And so for me, when I look at a space or a human, it's just it's like a little spot appears where there's things. And depending on how deep I look, or probably what is the best visual for my understanding. And sometimes when I'm reading people, I'll see abstract metaphor visions as well. And I've had to learn how to translate that, and I get the perfect visions that my mind and my human will be able to speak about. And I speak a lot in metaphor, so sometimes visions come in metaphor. But yeah, I see all kinds of different ways, the exact picture of remote viewing. I can close my eyes and be on a plane and see what's happening outside the plane window, subtly. Wow. Not I could focus in on detail, but I can see the shapes and kind of the colors. And for me, it's just...
You were doing that on the plane right here, right?
Yeah, because I wanted to look out the window, but I was tired.
What a cheat.
I was like, how can I do this?
That's funny.
And so I noticed in this space, it was it was cool, because I was like, wow, there's so much work that gets done here, and Brandon, you've created just an amazing container for transformation, fun, and exploration and growth. That it was apparent to me that this is an entertainment transformational epic container and house, just by what I could see in the space. It was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, both of you have definitely added to it tremendously. So far, it's, I was so looking forward to your arrival, and thankfully, you're still here for quite some time, and it's just been so awesome dropping in with you guys. And of course, you're also going to be, you guys will be able to catch them in even more vivid, experience on Optimistic. We're going to be shooting this Saturday night, and you guys are going to be the guests, and it's going to be absolutely epic as well. So, stay tuned for that. When exactly those episodes are going to be released is yet to be determined. We're in the process of taking the show pilot around town and, sort of seeing how we want to distribute it. So not exactly sure, but yeah, stay tuned. You guys can follow, all the happenings at optimistic.tv, of course, for that. But guys, this has been so cool. It's everything I knew it would be. I'm just so happy and blessed to have you here and on the on Positive Head today. What is the best way for people to connect with you who want to continue to follow your work or reach out to you, or what would that be?
Yeah, right now I'd be directly on our social media accounts, so Facebook and Instagram. You can just send us a DM.
Yeah, Michael Hrostoski, and
You want to spell out or your handle or whatever?
Yeah, so it's it's you'll probably see it in the show notes, or it's Hrostoski, and that'll pull me up.
Yep.
And I'm Lizzie, Lizzie Loch, and I'm really just getting into the social media flow. So come join me. I'm starting to share more.
Yeah, that's the thing with me. It's like it's never been a big focus. I know a lot of people, it's like such a primary focus, and it's like I have people all the time. You need to do more on, and it's like, yes, and I don't. It's sort of like this interesting dance of I don't want that to become such a main focus, but it is a powerful tool and a powerful platform. So, well, guys, I do have one final question for you both as we wind down here, and the question is this. Lizzie, I'll let you go first this time. In 60 seconds or less, what is the meaning of life according to Lizzie Loch?
For me, it's creation. It's what can I do here? What is the most that I could possibly do in this human body, in this physical form, in this time, in this space that is absolutely aligned and for my soul's greatest growth, and not only for my soul and my microcosm, but for the macrocosm, because they're just simply reflections of each other. And how can I serve all to the best of my capability, and am I showing up fully for myself and for the all? And I choose to create that meaning because it feels empowering and it gives a great sense of exploration and possibility. And I just feel the connectedness of everything. So for me, it's all about contributing to the whole and creating epic things. Like I want new, I want original, I want to break the mold of the boxes and discover, I feel like, a human explorer in this body. And so for me, it's breaking old patterns and cycles and going beyond into the unknown and just continuing forward. And that's fun. Yeah.
Beautiful.
For me, the meaning of life is whatever you choose it to be. I honor your choice and your free will to follow your desires, because your desires are divine. And then by following your desires and your highest excitement, you will inevitably find love. Like you'll find love, you'll find God, you'll find source, you'll find that waiting for you. However long that journey takes, you will ultimately come to a place of love, of unconditional love, of true love, of atonement, of self-love. So the meaning is whatever that you wish to create it. At the end, you will return to love. So the meaning and the mission is love. So the mission is love. You heard it here again.
Love, my favorite quote. Love is the answer now. What was the question? All right, everyone. This has been absolutely lovely. And until next time, I hope you all have the most epic, lovely journey. Journey well, everyone. Thank you,
Thank
Michael.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
family.
Lizzie.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, everyone.
See you next time.